Somewhere out there in the high deserts of Kazakhstan, there's a colossal concrete building, and inside there sits a multi-billion-dollar ghost ship. It's the absolute peak of a superpower's ambition, a monument to a future that was planned down to the last bolt, paid for in full, and yet has never, not once, been turned on.
So that's the real mystery we're going to dig into. How does a machine, a literal spaceship designed by the world's brightest minds and built by over 1 million people, get completely finished, only to be abandoned the very second it was ready to be born?
If you could somehow get inside that hangar today, you'd find it sitting there in total darkness, blanketed in 30 years of dust. A 75-ton machine, perfectly preserved, just waiting for a command that is never, ever going to come.
Just think about it. This thing was meticulously engineered. It was the product of an entire empire's resources, pulling in the sharpest minds of a global superpower to achieve one single monumental goal.
Then it was constructed. And not with just anything. We're talking the most advanced materials of the day, forged from titanium, steel, and incredible ceramics, all designed to take the brutal vacuum of space and the fiery hell of re-entry.
And here's the part that's just wild. It was completed. It was fully assembled. Every single wire was run, every computer was installed. This wasn't some prototype or a practice run. It was the real deal, ready to go.
And then, nothing. It was never even switched on. For over 3 decades now, it's just been sitting there, dormant. A silent monument to a future that, just stopped showing up.
Okay, so to understand why this machine even exists, we have to rewind the clock. We've got to know back to that intense technological showdown of the Cold War, a rivalry that pushed humanity right to the very edge of what was possible.
Right. So when NASA launched its iconic space shuttle, you better believe the Soviet Union felt they had to respond. Their answer was a program called Buran. But here's the thing. They didn't just want to copy the Americans. No. They were dead set on building something better, more advanced, more capable. It's a perfect example of how that kind of global conflict can just rocket innovation forward at breathtaking speeds.
The specific machine we're talking about, this ghost in the hangar, is Orbiter 1.02. But it's better known by its nickname, Pichka. In Russian, that means little bird. It was the second shuttle in the Buran fleet, and unlike its sister ship, which did fly one unmanned test flight, this little bird was destined to never, ever leave the nest. And make no mistake, this thing was an absolute marvel of engineering. The Soviets poured everything they had into making Ptichka a true dreadnought of the sky. It was really the ultimate expression of that state-driven, top-down technological vision.
Just look at this number, 38,000. That is how many individual ceramic heat shield tiles had to be made and placed on the shuttle's hull. Each one was uniquely shaped, and each one was painstakingly positioned by hand. It's just a staggering testament to the sheer scale of the labor involved.
And Ptichka was way ahead of its time. It was actually designed for fully autonomous flight. Get this, it could complete an entire mission and land itself without a pilot ever touching the controls. Plus, it could carry a 30-ton payload and was built to handle military hardware. Everything from spy satellites to, even theoretical laser weapons. So, by the early 1990s, Ptichka was done. The flight plan was written out, its mission to dock with the Mir space station was on the books, it was ready. And then, in a blink of an eye, the entire world that created it just vanished.
And it all happened so incredibly fast. As you can see here, the shuttle hits completion right around 1990. Then boom, just a year later in 1991, the Soviet Union collapses. The empire that ordered this machine to be built suddenly just ceased to exist. The funding, the chain of command, its entire reason for being, gone.
Can you imagine being one of those engineers? You've just finished your life's work, this incredible machine, and you're just waiting for the green light. But the orders never come. Months turn into years. The money dries up, the electricity to the huge hangars is cut off, and the machine is basically put to sleep before it ever had a chance to wake up.
So, what happened next? Usually when a massive aerospace project gets canceled, the hardware is scrapped or maybe it's repurposed. But not Ptichka. It was just left. A technological orphan of a fallen empire. So why? Why was this flawless, flight-ready machine just left to rot? Well, there are 3 main theories. First, economic collapse. Pretty straightforward. The new Russian government simply couldn't afford a billion-dollar shuttle program. Second, it was already becoming obsolete.
Cheaper, expendable rockets were the way of the future. And finally, its whole strategic purpose was gone. Without a Cold War to fight, who really needed an autonomous military spaceplane? But you know, the most practical reason it's still sitting there? It was simply cheaper to lock the doors and walk away. The huge size of the machine and the super remote location of the Baikonur Cosmodrome made taking it apart a logistical and financial nightmare. So they just abandoned it to the desert. And so Ptichka sits there today, a silent reminder that our greatest achievements are tied to the really fragile nature of human intention. We can build these incredible mountains of titanium and glass, but it's the shifting winds of politics and economics that decide whether those creations will ever fly or just fade quietly into the dark. It leaves us with a pretty fascinating question, doesn't it? What happens when our ambition outlives the very world that created it?